just want the day to come where loving her is normal. I just want the time to come where loving her won't be called brave. I am hoping for the day where I don't always have to wave rainbows in the air to prove I'm flaming gay. 'Cause loving her is oh so sweet and oh.
We understand progressive education to mean new, changing, and innovative ways of teaching and learning. An educational model that values the voices, opinions, and needs of each student. A model that acknowledges the unique differences in each student's lived experience in the world. A model that listens to students in an effort to co-create their learning experience. It's interesting then, with the focal point being on the needs and voices of each individual student, that in many progressive schools, including here at Green School Bali, the LGBTQI+ community and movement is often overlooked, not treated as an equal, and rarely celebrated. It's almost as if giving ourselves a progressive label and being recognized as progressive by the outside world, there is an underlying assumption that every marginalized group and all diverse perspectives are obviously celebrated and represented. This underlying assumption that a label means a community is accepted and celebrated is simply not adequate. It is this underlying assumption that everyone is okay to be who they are, to express who they are, as they are, inadvertently fails to recognize the marginalized because, well, of course it's okay to be different. But is it?
They'd see that loving her is oh so sweet.
At the Green School, when I first arrived, there was no specific acknowledgement of the LGBTQ+ community. There is definitely a desire to be progressive and include minority groups. However, there was no indication of that in the curriculum. And if these things aren't actually being specifically implemented, I don't feel like a school is being progressive.
Our topic in high school theory wellbeing is called Free to Be Me, and our guiding question is, how can I be the best version of myself and support the identity of others? And we had the lovely Kaimata with us to tell her story and talk about her journey into expressing herself through singing and songwriting and raising awareness in regards to minority groups, especially the LGBTQ+ community.
So I remember so vividly the first time that you came to Green School back in August. It, it's the catalyst for this entire project that I'm working on, and without you it wouldn't have existed. But what was that first experience like for you when you came to Green School?
Well, I was brought in by Shannon, who I was a guest on his podcast, Terrible Happy Talks. And he spoke to me about my identity as an Indonesian that is also in the LGBTQ+ community, as well as what that means for how I identify and how I live my life. And as we had a conversation, he thought it would be perfect for your school because at the moment your well-being class was talking about identity.
Yeah.
And I think it was a segment called Free to Be Me.
Yes, that was our Block 1 high school well-being class where we were exploring students' identity and helping them find a sense of self and how to express that in the community.
So he brought me on to talk more to the campus about that, specifically saying that there isn't very much LGBTQ+ visibility or activism or sense of what to do once you are out of school and having to figure out who you are as someone that has lived in multiple places, maybe identifies with multiple cultures, alongside all the other tidbits and nuances of who we are.
Yeah, and I mean, it was such an important moment, I think, for our high school students, and for me, being here for 4 years and not even really stopping to think about the fact that there was no visibility, being a part of the community myself. I think when I came to Green School, I was just relieved because I came from working at a very Christian school where I couldn't be out and no one knew that I was out in my school. And when I got the job at Green School, it was implied that they were open and accepting, and for me that was enough because it was such a big jump from where I was coming from. So I just felt accepted, and I was just so grateful that I was part of an accepting community. And then in that moment, in the interview, you posed a question to the students after in the midst of their interview, and you said, do you have a gay-straight alliance at this school? And I remember just really having a moment and looking at my colleagues and even looking within and realizing we don't. And why don't we? And then in that moment, it was like this sense of responsibility came over me that I needed to do something. I needed to help to create a community and to create a sense of safety and create visibility for our students, our teachers, our families. And you know, if you hadn't have been here and you hadn't have said that, I probably wouldn't be standing here with you today.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm in grade 12 and I've been at Green School for 1.5 years. I go by the pronouns she, her, hers, and I identify in the LGBTQIA plus community as pansexual or queer. I go by both. In my last school we had Pride Club. We had these little rainbow stickers on every single teacher's door so you knew that they were inclusive. If you didn't have that sticker, people were very uncomfortable with that teacher and they would switch out of classes just because of that sticker. We had this community, everyone in the school had a community to know that you didn't differentiate people because they were identified differently to you. And when I came here I didn't find that until Kai performed and set off a wave of let's give space to those who are currently being expected to be something they're not. And then we started having her come out more, come into our Green School community and keep talking about the issues that she's fighting for, especially in Indonesia, a place that's very difficult for the LGBTQ community, especially the Indonesian LGBTQ community. And she gives space for that, and she has changed the school so much. She has brought a lot of equality to it and a lot of safety and love. Since she came, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of normalization of the language, of the ability to talk about a relationship that isn't straight. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the fact that Green School brought her in, because I think that it's changed school for the better a lot.
At the end of that day when you came, I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to act on this? How am I going to turn this into something powerful for our community? And that's when I had the idea to carry on this theme of identity and add alliances to the next course for high school well-being. And so I went to my principal and to the other well-being teachers, and I pitched the idea of carrying this on and integrating a project that was student-led, student initiatives that they felt our community needed, that they needed as students to create visibility and create a sense of safety for everyone, LGBTQ plus community or any other marginalized students in our community. What are we lacking, and how did the students think they could fill those gaps? And luckily, the other teachers were on board and thought that was a really great idea and much needed. So we carried on in the second block of the year with the Identity and Alliances class.
Well, as someone who went to international school and who didn't have any sense of representation or visibility, I think that is an incredible thing that all schools need. Because there's one thing to have a zero tolerance policy and an ethos of progressiveness, but there's also another thing to be representation, because the default doesn't include LGBTQ plus communities.
Right.
The default idea of who we are is centered in a straight world of heteronormativity.
Right.
And I understand that's because the majority of people end up in heterosexual relationships. But that means sometimes those who are on the outskirts get left out completely.
Yeah.
And sometimes just a little bit of visibility, whether it be a rainbow flag, a pin, or just the idea of asking someone their pronouns, can mean the world to the minority, even if the majority of people brush it off as something that is pointless.
My name is Emily Ferguson. I've worked at Green School Bali for 9 years now, and I currently act as the curriculum advisor. I'm originally from Toronto, Ontario, and my pronouns are she and her. In terms of LGBTQ and how it's been integrated into the content of curriculum at Green School Bali, I believe I would have to say that it has taken many different forms and iterations over the years, which is very true of our curriculum itself. We are a school that adapts consistently and is reliant on a lot of the expertise of our faculty and our administrators, and we've taken different approaches when it's come to curriculum over the years, and that has resulted in different levels of integration, but also different ways of integrating or not. I think that is in regards to LGBTQ stories and addressing it explicitly within the content of curriculum. Now, the efforts to integrate anti-oppressive education in all realms of social justice, not only marginalized LGBTQ, has not necessarily been integrated in each learning neighborhood at each level from the top down. We have seen examples of teaching teams and faculty department sort of style teams really working to integrate that. However, we haven't had those efforts branch across the school. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago that we started what was initially inspired to be a gay-straight alliance, which after we formed a group of students and teachers together in an after-school club, quickly changed its name and its identity to the Social Justice League to be a little bit more inclusive. It didn't sustain, and again, I think because we do so many things at Green School, our faculty, but even more importantly, our students, the attendance and the participation in that waned after a short period of time. And it was hard to sustain interest in that club.
Oh my god! What is that?
Human Rights Avengers!
My name is Thor. I'm a transgender woman. My preferred pronouns are her and she.
Hey, I'm Black Widow. I'm a feminist and I believe in equality for everyone.
And I think that's the challenge with a student-guided model that aims to be mission-driven as well, is you have to kind of find that negotiated space between giving students choice, but also making sure that these really important anti-oppressive issues are integrated. So if the students aren't choosing that, we as a faculty and as a school, that's our responsibility to make sure that it's addressed. In my 9 years of teaching at Green School, I have seen examples of some of our faculty that have brought in LGBTQ explicitly into their instruction. We have a faculty that is dynamic, but also I would include myself in that, believes themselves to be anti-oppressive educators and have brought it in through different texts, whether they be fiction texts, or sometimes we work on large-scale projects such as V-Day, where it doesn't actually have to be brought in through literature or the content of curriculum itself, but it can actually be a research and inquiry-driven project that the students are engaging in. There have been efforts to, when we write curriculum, that kind of provides teachers with, whether you call them learning objectives or content kind of frameworks for teachers across the school. There have been significant efforts to integrate it into our sex ed curriculum and other disciplines as well.
Part of my responsibility as a progressive educator is to teach students how to be part of a community that celebrates diversity and celebrates being inclusive to all of the members of the community. This spring, first graders have been learning about storytelling from around the world. In art class, for our unit on self-portraiture, Students chose to portray themselves as a fairy tale character of their choice. To introduce this lesson, I chose a few fairy tales from Green School's new inclusive and diverse library that subvert traditional gender roles and present and celebrate relationship in all its many forms. Students really enjoyed hearing these stories. They engaged curiously, with questions, and with appreciation. These storylines empowered both little girls and boys to see themselves and to see others in a new way.
So the class was really successful, I think, in the end. Like the students brainstormed. We had about 5 different initiatives that the kids brainstormed that they wanted to take on in an attempt to fill some of those gaps. And some of them were creating awareness posters. This is one of the bigger projects that was done, multiple student projects here. We have awareness posters about the history of LGBTQ rights, about vocabulary and terminology that is commonly misunderstood or misused, and how to make sure we are, being mindful and aware of people in our community and how we speak to them and address them. And then another one of the amazing projects was the inclusive library. So what we realized in the course of that class was, at that point in time, this would have been back in September, Green School did not have one single LGBTQ book in our school. There was no literature that represented that perspective for our community, which is obviously shocking and surprising. And we talked a lot about why that might be. Being a progressive school operating in Indonesia might be playing into that a little bit. Indonesia doesn't have progressive laws relating to the LGBTQ community lives.
I can't stress enough the importance of representation, because only seeing books in which the protagonist ends up in a heterosexual relationship is very isolating for someone, especially coming of age and trying to figure out your sexual orientation and figure out who you like and who you love and how you share that with other people. Feeling like everyone else is represented only in one specific way is so isolating and scary. It makes people feel so alone. So it's super important. And I had that experience, especially as an Indonesian, in which you mentioned we are in a country that is continuously growing more conservative. We have a lot of laws that aren't meant to target the LGBTQ plus community on the surface, yet are used to target us. The bylaws that criminalize us for simply existing. I have experienced the target on my back. I have experienced the hate. I have experienced being told I should be killed or cured through conversion therapy. I liken it to the fact that I am a lighthouse. If all is working, a lighthouse isn't seen by many people, or it doesn't matter to most ships, but it matters to the ones that are distressed and lost at sea. And of course I would worry too. And it's pretty brave and pretty progressive of a school to have mules bring in books.
We didn't think it was going to be that frowned upon to have the books. But the more that I've gotten involved in this project, and the third step, the final piece of this this initiative that started because of your coming to Green School, was a LGBTQ community awareness project that I put out to the teacher and parent community. And so we have about 10 teachers and parents in our community that we're getting together once every other week to talk about how can we continue to generate awareness and create visibility. And there's a lot of people that come to Green School because it's progressive and it's accepting, and people feel like they can be themselves here. And there was, for a lot of people who came, there was then this gap that there was no visibility at our school. There was, doesn't mean there isn't acceptance, but there's no visibility of that acceptance. And we really, there's a handful of us that really believe that's important for our students and for our families. And now do we find that balance between wanting to support our community that exists here within this bamboo cathedral and, not put a target on our backs from the Indonesian government. Your mission as a human, just to make music that matters and that makes a difference. And I mean, I think you can probably speak to the impact it's had on at least some of our students here. You just being here, and you've kind of been a bit of a mainstay for this whole school year. You've come for multiple events. You played at V-Day, you spoke at V-Day, you helped lead a V-Day workshop from the LGBTQ perspective. And I mean, you've definitely had an impact on our students here at Green School. The classes I ran, your presence here
has led to some students feeling more safe and feeling that there is at least one step forward in visibility for our school community.
I just want the day to come where loving her is normal. I just want the time to come where loving her won't be called brave. I am hoping for the day where I don't always have to wave rainbows in the air to prove I'm flaming gay. Loving her is oh so sweet and oh so true. Loving her is pure and kind, timeless and so new. Whether it's a choice or not, I love her like I do. To love her is to love myself too. They can tell me everything I feel is wrong and sinful. All the angry words and threats, and darling, here I am alive. I have a loving mom and dad, and for that I am oh so grateful. If only more would take the time to see through someone else's eyes, they'd see that loving her is oh so sweet and oh so true. Loving her is pure and kind, timeless and so new. Whether it's a choice or not, I'll love her like I do. To love her is to love myself too. To love her is to love myself too. Their hate does change me, it teaches me to love. Their pain does show me why I choose to love. Their hate has changed me, it teaches me to love. Their pain does show me why I choose to love. 'Cause loving her is oh so sweet and oh so true. Loving her is pure and kind, timeless and so new. Oh, loving her is pure and sweet and oh so true. Loving her is pure and kind, timeless and so new. Whether it's a choice or not, I'll love her like I do. To love her is to love myself too. To love her is to love myself too. To love her is to love myself too. To love her is to love myself.
So important to make sure that everyone, especially people at a young age, feel that they are loved, valued, and cherished, and feel like they will be respected for who they are in their purest form.
Yeah.
And it is such a gift and honor when people come out to me and tell me their story and share with me their experiences, whether it is about their sexual identity, whether it is about anything. That is such a beautiful gift, and that keeps me going, because that speaks louder than the voices that yell hate.
Green School finds itself in an interesting juxtaposition between itself, a progressive international school, and Indonesia, a country that does not hold equally progressive views, particularly when it comes to the LGBTQI+ community. This presents an added layer of difficulty to actively living the model that Green School ascribes to. However, it should not be used to divert our school's attention away from important global social justice issues. Green School in particular was founded on a mission of making our world more sustainable, and with the intention of educating our world's next sustainable leaders. The term sustainability should not be exclusive to the idea of environmental sustainability. Rather, should encompass social and economic sustainability as well as the sustainability of each individual's well-being. Now, more than ever before, we are presented with an opportunity. We find ourselves in the middle of a global equality movement. Humanity is turning the tide on issues of racial, gender, and LGBTQI equality. It is time for Green School to use this opportunity and take an intentional stand on the issue of LGBTQI+ equality and visibility within our own community, to adopt anti-oppressive pedagogy school-wide and implement strategic plans to sustain a shift to truly progressive, inclusive, and equitable education for all.
Hi, I'm Kylie Little, an educator, a proud member of the LGBTQ+ community, and the creator of this documentary. I've been a part of the Green School teaching community since 2016. In the 4 years that I have been teaching here, I have overheard students in our school community use phrases such as "that's so gay" and "don't be gay" in interactions with their peers on the playground and in the classroom. I have watched as students reassured their peers that they're not gay if they share a swing during recess. And worst of all, I have had to read messages of hate in student notebooks declaring that all gay people should be killed. We have work to do. June is the annual celebration of the LGBTQ+ community worldwide. The Green School LGBTQ+ community group had planned to host Green School's first ever Pride celebration this year in an effort to rise in solidarity and demonstrate visibility for our own LGBTQ+ community. And while it is an important time to celebrate the community, it is equally important to remember that this is also a celebration of the history of those who have demonstrated courage and commitment to fighting for equality, justice, and human rights. Pride commemorates a riot, the New York City Stonewall riots of 1969, an uprising to resist police harassment and persecution within the LGBTQ+ community. It is a reminder that with raised, organized, and unwavering voices, we can be heard and real change in our world can happen. My hope is that this documentary reminds our community to not become complacent and to take the opportunity to be proactive, to put in the work that is required to teach our students and our wider community that gay rights are human rights. As I leave Green School this year, I hope that visible safe spaces continue to grow in our community and that this conversation, rooted in intentional, school-wide anti-oppressive pedagogy, continues. I would like to thank everyone who supported me this year through the creation of this project and our first ever LGBTQ community group. I would also like to thank everyone who was a part of this documentary. If you're not sure where to start, here are 6 ways you can become an LGBTQ ally today.
1. Be honest. It's important to be honest with yourself, acknowledging your feelings and coming to terms with them. Acknowledging you aren't an expert. Asking those identifying with the community around you what's important to them, and seeking resources to better understand the realities of being an LGBTQ individual so that you can be truly informed and supportive. 2. Send gentle signals. Showing and sharing your acceptance and support can be very easy. Many people often don't realize that LGBTQ people keep watch for signs from their friends, family, and teachers about whether it is safe to open up with them. It can be as subtle as having an LGBTQ-themed book on your desk or even a rainbow flag sticker. 3. Have courage. Just as it takes courage for LGBTQ people to be open and honest about who they are, it also takes courage to support your LGBTQ friends, students, or loved ones. We live in a society where prejudice still exists and where discrimination is still far too common. Showing support to those around you is a small step towards a better and more accepting world. This means letting others know you are welcome to being told if anything you say or do is upsetting. 4. Take youth seriously. It's about working to develop a true understanding of what it means to be an LGBTQ youth and trying to do your part to help break down the walls of prejudice and discrimination that still exist. Never diminish youth's identities by claiming that they are too young to know. This is doubly painful as it uses the youth's emergent LGBTQ+ identity alongside their status as youth as grounds to doubt their own feelings and experiences. Similarly, when youth claim that a peer, teacher, or administrator has acted in a way harmful to them, believe them. For an advocate, this means honoring the experiences youth bring to the table and acting on them to support cultural shifts in schools when possible and desired by actively bringing the youth themselves into the conversation. 5. Understand LGBTQ+ youth as multi-dimensional. The LGBTQ+ youth community is large and diverse. Some youth have different needs than others. For example, issues of racism, which sometimes are amplified when combined with anti-LGBTQ+ discrimination, affect LGBTQ+ youth of color more than their white counterparts. For an advocate, this means committing to educational equity broadly through understanding racism, ableism, intersecting oppressions, and other forms of systematic discrimination. It also means taking to youth explicitly about what they need to have a more generative experience in school and acting on those suggestions. And number 6, learn about your own privilege. There are 2 basic components of privilege. First, privilege is a set of advantages, benefits, or rights that a person receives because they belong to one or more social groups. Second, those advantages, benefits, or rights enable a person to enjoy more access, power, or authority without doing anything to actually earn it. A person who is in a monogamous heterosexual relationship can feel comfortable talking about their romantic partner in most professional and social situations. They can keep a photo of their partner on their desk or in their office without fear of making people uncomfortable. They usually don't get nervous or worried about how people will react if they find out their partner's gender. In contrast, people who are in relationships with same-gender people may feel uncomfortable talking about their partners in some professional and social situations. And they might worry about whether they will be disciplined, demoted, or fired for having their partner's photo on their desk or in their office. This is an example of heterosexual privilege. By learning about our privilege, we learn about how others experience the world differently and have access to opportunities and benefits and experience unfair disadvantages. Learning about privilege is especially important for those of us who work as educators, because it makes us better equipped to serve a diverse community of learners. It helps us challenge our own assumptions and others' assumptions about what experiences people share, as well as challenging us to think differently about what counts as a normal person, experience, or identity.
So thank you so much for everything you've done. You have forever changed me, and you've definitely forever changed this amazing school. So, yeah, thanks for everything. Can we hug? Yeah.
Come and hear the words they say. Are you bi or are you gay? Oh, how I thought you were straight. What a pity, such a shame. You both look so feminine. Don't you miss it with a man? With 2 girls, how does that work? 'Cause I can always be your third. Well, I'll answer all your questions, though I know it won't fit in your fantasy. despite the ego telling you our bedroom does not want your company. So go and lust and fantasize, but nothing more. Despite your tries, I don't need a dictator to tell me what I need.